You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Hey, what's up? Welcome back to AngryMarks.com. This is Rohan with your NXT report for Wednesday, November 21st, NXT number 479. Basically, we are in the post-takeover hangover, and this is pretty much just their sort of pay-per-view recap show. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Rohan. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. In Canada, so I had my turkey about a month ago, but to all my American friends, happy Thanksgiving, and let's get into this. Right off the bat, I want to mention, if anyone from WWE Network production is listening, the opening signature where we do the then, now, forever montage, we need some NXT footage in there. So if anyone wants to start a hashtag NXT then, now, forever, let's get that done. So they open up this episode of the weekly TV with a complete video recap, top to bottom, of all the matches at this past week's takeover. This is going to be pretty much just a recap show. They did a great job reminding us of the fact that the NXT mega shows usually outshine the main roster pay-per-views. I went officially 4 for 5 on my predictions from last week. I really thought that Undisputed Era was going to win War Games, but I guess not. So this week's episode, we get a promo hyping up Lars Sullivan before he gets ready to head off to SmackDown. We get a promo pushing our main event tonight, which was Nikki Cross and Candice LeRae. This took place in Los Angeles at the Staples Center right before the War Games show went on the air. So we do have the 2 rings set up, which unfortunately no one on this episode used. They would have liked to see Lars Sullivan or Keith Lee throw his diminutive opponent into the second ring, but we didn't get that. We get Keith Lee taking on Fidel Bravo. Morrow calls Keith Lee the Megalodon, and I had to look that up. Fidel Bravo is a tiny, tiny man, but he has a sweet mustache and a highlighted 80s mullet. He got no hometown or weight announcement, but he did get entrance music. Upon first glance, he looks to be in his early 50s. He has no physique. According to CageMatch.net, he's 5'5", 158 pounds, and apparently he's only 27 years old. I refuse to believe this. This man must be in his mid to late 50s. So Keith Lee is smirking, licking his chops, looking like he's about to steal the last drumstick at Thanksgiving dinner, ready to feast on Fidel. The crowd basks in his glory, and Bravo gets upset, yelling at Lee, saying he's being disrespected. Lee clocks him with a sharp left hand. He backs Bravo into the corner. Every time I say Bravo, I'm thinking Dino Bravo. And he lays in the big double chop, and Bravo's life passed before his eyes. Lee hit the big fireman's carry jackhammer, and mercifully for Fidel, this match ends in 2 minutes. We get a lovely shot of the crowd, including a lovely young lady who I had to look twice. It was Topanga from Boy Meets World. Why couldn't I find out beforehand that my first teenage crush was a wrestling fan? And it's an opportunity wasted. I've tweeted out a picture of her. All these years later, she's still fine. We get a video recap of Shayna versus Kairi Sane from TakeOver. It's a backstage interview with Kathy. Shayna says that no one can stop them. Recap of the Cassius Ohno, Matt Riddle promo battle during the TakeOver kickoff show. Backstage interview with Generic Blonde, who tries to pull off the bro line, but she failed miserably. She tells Riddle that was the fastest win in unscheduled NXT match history. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's true or not, but it sounds really cool from a hype perspective. Riddle recapped the fact that he knocked out Ohno in his debut. He says, bro, he walks off. Squash match number 2, we get Lars Sullivan and his tree trunk legs taking on Keita Murray. Another quick squash. Lars holds up this poor bastard during the freak accident. The sacrificial lamb is screaming for his life, and Lars gets the pin in only 35 seconds. Lars then grabs the microphone. He warns us that this will continue until he gets his NXT Championship match. He goes back to attack the jobber again until Keith Lee runs out, makes the save. Lee hits the pounce, sending Lars packing. That match is going to be so much fun. I cannot wait for that. Another video recap, this time of the Johnny Gargano-Aleister Black match. Here's what I don't understand. We all know that Aleister had a groin injury, but as far as the storyline goes, Gargano attacked him in August, put him out for months. So theoretically, Aleister is not collecting a paycheck. He's having this shroud of mystery and paranoia over who attacked him. And finally, he gets his chance for revenge. And his revenge is beating Johnny in a wrestling match. If this were the main roster, I imagine after a long blood feud, it wouldn't be over after one match. But, then again, main roster would never have a long-term storyline like this. They would have them swap wins back and forth, rendering the storyline meaningless. Hopefully they can both move on to other things for the time being. We get the exclusive, never-before-seen footage of Aleister Black walking in the back. He's walking, and Kathy Kelly tries to ask Aleister if he's had enough revenge and if the rivalry is over. And Aleister is like, whatever, bitch, and just shrugs her off. And then we see Aleister going face-to-face with Candice, and they have a face-off. They stand there for an hour. No one says anything. They gaze longingly into each other's eyes, and Candice is the first to break, and she leaves while wearing the greatest "I'm disappointed mom" look on her face. Another video recap, this time of the NXT title match between Ciampa and Velveteen Dream. We get a commercial for WWE 2K19. We get a commercial for WrestleMania tickets. We get a commercial for some shitty music. I'm so glad I'm paying for a premium network. Announcement for next week, Lars Sullivan and Keith Lee. And another video recap of War Games, which, the recap is almost as long as the match itself. Main event time, Nikki Cross and Candice LeRae. Candice comes bebopping down to the ring, and Morrow says, Candice LeRae, tethered to Johnny Gargano by marriage. I've never heard it put it that way before, and I'm approaching 20 years of marriage. Nikki is laughing at Candice. They exchange shoves. Nikki trips Candice on the apron and traps her in the ring skirt, laying in some forearms. Candice has gone back to the cupcake prints all over her gear. Has she always had that? I've never noticed that before. Nothing better than having pastries on your ring gear. Pastries, not pasties. Although, no, never mind. Candice tries a springboard crossbody on the outside, but she completely overshot it, at least by a couple of feet, and Morrow tried to save the spot because they couldn't save this in editing, and he said that she clipped Nikki with her knee. Candice hits an unprettier in the ring, but misses the subsequent lion salt, quebrada, whatever that move is. I'm not Spanish. Morrow says she has rearranged her facial DNA. I'm no doctor, but I'm assuming facial DNA is no different than any DNA from any other part of her body. I think Morrow is by far the most talented announcer in this company, but even he gets his head scratcher lines once in a while. Back to the match, Nikki hits the Purge, which is that spinning fisherman suplex. Morrow says no one has ever kicked out of that, which is, of course, Candice's cue to kick out of that, and the announcers can't believe it. Nikki sets Candice on the top rope, and Candice counters whatever Nikki was going to do, and she turns into a second rope German suplex for a near fall. Nikki is still laughing at Candice. This pisses Candice off, and she just goes apeshit, and Nikki starts laying in with forearms and punches, and she's super aggressive. Candice hits a curb stomp on Nikki. Her countenance completely changes, and she stops for a moment to admire her evilness as the crowd starts booing her. Candice slaps on the Gargano escape, but Nikki makes it to the ropes. Nikki then, just out of nowhere, hits a draping, spinning neckbreaker and gets the clean win in 7 minutes. No post-match angle. Candice crumples in a heap on the outside, and Nikki celebrates her win. Can't believe I wrote this many words for what was just a glorified recap show and a commercial for anyone who didn't see TakeOver, although I can't imagine anyone who watches the weekly shows not already seeing TakeOver. This was a nothing show. They did their TV tapings in San Jose this week, and I get just as part of their house show loop, so we will see matches from that next week. That's about it from here. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days. Good night.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.